Hi, my name is Sara Oswald, and I'm a student at Baton Rouge Magnet High School in the AP Art History class. Today I'm going to be talking about our class trip to the NOMA and a specific artwork that I chose to talk about. It's F2C2, and also compare it and another artwork, certain changes and similarities that are present within the piece. So first things first, I want to introduce my artwork, and this is the El Gallo commemorative panel from the Mayan culture. It was created around 764 CE. This is just a relative date, and it was made from locally mined limestone. It was found in the El Gallo River Valley, which divides present-day Mexico from Guatemala. And I have some of that identification information right there. Now to move on to the actual F2C2 of this, starting with formal qualities, and I'll move this closer so you can see. You can see a frame of hieroglyphs surrounding the primary content of this artwork, these three figures, which we will get to in a moment. And also there's very little negative space going on, which is a very common theme throughout Mesoamerican artwork. Unfortunately, we don't have a translation for these hieroglyphs, which were commonly used in Mayan artwork to say something about the figures we were looking at. Like I said, we don't actually have a translation for that. This piece is done in low relief. There are some areas down here, for example, done in a little bit higher relief, but for the most part, this piece is definitely a bas relief work. Something I wanted to point out, there are a few fractures in the piece right through here and up here. Even up here on the top, you can tell this piece isn't whole. There are some cracks in it. And while this obviously isn't part of the artwork itself, it does show the relative age of this piece and some of the stress that it might have gone over through the years and coming to where it is now, which is at the NOMA in New Orleans. So also, one more thing for form, you have red pigmentation, remnants of it in parts of this panel, and that's important to acknowledge because somebody who created this, the artist is unknown, went and took the time to go beyond merely carving this panel to actually apply a paint, apply a pigment that would imply that whoever's being depicted here was of high importance in this society. So now moving on to content, I guess I'm going to hold this up again. We have three figures being depicted here. And the center, the only way I couldn't describe him is a priest-like figure of obvious importance. He has this feather headdress, which definitely very elaborate, shows us that he is of some great importance here. And then on each side of him, there's a smaller scale individual. On the left, this one appears to be bowing to the more important figure, and on the right, there appears to be a person offering him something. The priest-like figure can be inferred to be most important because of the hierarchy of scale we see going on here. And we know from studying ancient cultures that hierarchy of scale was often used to portray one individual's importance in comparison to the others. In this case, we have almost a framing device going on with a smaller scale individual, the more important figure, and then the other smaller one. And that definitely draws your eyes into this more important figure. Now, luckily, we actually have some background information on this panel that the NOMA provided us with. And we know that this figure is Sajal Chokwai. And in the Mayan language, Sajal means military commander. So what is going on here is we have this highly regarded military commander being commemorated. This panel was created 3 months after his passing, and what we are seeing here is the fire entering ceremony. So that's the actual scene that we are seeing. According to Caminantes por la Vida y la Paz del Mundo, this is a Mayan shamanistic group who practices currently in Guatemala. They say that this fire entering ceremony is a celebration of life and existence, and it was used for various situations. In this case, Sajal Chokwai was being celebrated for his life and his existence as a powerful military leader in this region. So also one thing I wanted to point out as far as the content goes on this, present on the panel are the signatures of 3 scribes, and they're not very prominent. I'm not even sure exactly where they are, but this is important to acknowledge because whoever these people were, they found this figure and this commemorative panel so important that they wanted their signatures to be prominently inscribed on the panel and be remembered. And this brings us to function of this piece. There's a definite social function in this artwork. We know that in Mayan society, one very common thing as far as artwork went was depicting the powerful, and especially in an architectural way. We have lintels, we have panels, we have just complex structures being created that have depictions of powerful members of Mayan society, rulers, military leaders, as in this case, the elite in society, and even the gods, who obviously were considered very powerful in Mesoamerican society. And it's that hierarchy, social hierarchy, that is really present in the artwork. You're not going to see too many of the common people in Mayan and Mesoamerican artwork in general. You're mostly going to see that high upper class, which Sajal Chokwai would have definitely been associated with. There's also a religious function, and that can be inferred simply because this panel is displaying a Mayan religious ceremony. This fire entering celebration would have been part of the Mayan religious ideology. So as far as the second part of this vlog goes, which is tradition and change over time, I chose to compare the El Gallo panel with the Olmec culture, and that is because the Olmecs are considered actually the mother culture of Mesoamerican society. They were the first people to come across the Bering Strait down into the Americas and create the first societies in this region. And the artwork that I chose to compare the panel with are the colossal heads from the Olmecs. And what these are they are enormous in the round sculptures of leaders' heads, and they're carved from basalt rock. They date back to around 1200 to 400 BCE, and in comparison to the Mayans, there's a huge time gap there. The Mayans didn't rise to prominence until around 600 CE, so huge time gap there. But still, we see Olmec influence on all Mesoamerican cultures, the Teotihuacan, the Aztecs, and even the Mayans. The main similarity between these two is that we have the depiction of the powerful, the depiction of leaders in these societies. In the El Gallo panel, we have Sajal Chokwai, his as a military leader, being commemorated, and these colossal heads are the heads of present-day leaders at this time when they were created. And they were set in these areas. They may have been outside of the primary reach of of the ruler, to show, okay, maybe you're not in contact with this leader at all times, but know that his power still reigns over you. So that would be one similarity. They're both carved from locally mined rock, which was common for any kind of relief sculpture in ancient societies throughout the world. One difference, though, would be that while the commemorative panel is remembering Sajal Chokwai's life, it was created after his death, after his passing, in memorial of him, while the colossal heads were created during the reign of a leader and to be used during that leader's lifetime to show the power of this leader, that he should be revered. They were huge statues that were used for almost as an intimidating form of propaganda. So that would be one change. Also, both of these artworks share idealized figures. Sajal Chokwai is definitely depicted as idealized because he wanted to be regarded in his most honorable state. Similarly, the colossal heads are shown as idealized with these almond-shaped eyes because they want to be regarded as, you know, powerful, almost a form of portraiture, I guess you could say. As far as interpreting the El Gallo panel, we know for a fact that the Mayans depicted the powerful in their society. I've mentioned several times. According to Khan Academy and many other people who have researched into Mayan art history and Mesoamerican art history, these societies often depicted their powerful members in society as having relations with divine beings, or being endowed themselves with divine powers. We don't know for sure that Sajal Chokwai was associated with this, but it can be speculated that his military strength was thought to be due to him having connection to the divine beings in Mayan religion. So that's about it for today. Hopefully you guys know more about the El Gallo panel and Mayan society and their depiction of powerful members in general. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Bye!